The ambitious German assault rifle from the tail end of the Cold War, H&K's G36 has fast become one of the most recognizable firearms ever produced. Designed to replace the venerable G3 battle rifle, the G36 would become the trusted weapon of not only Germany, but over 40 nations worldwide. Built from the ground up, this weapon was a departure from H&K's usual firearms design and mode of operation, but their new weapon was nonetheless successful. Despite a few critical flaws in the weapon's design, and its short time in service thus far, this rifle is truly iconic. With a weight of exactly 8 pounds, and having a length of 39.3 inches with the adjustable stock unfolded, this German rifle can fire 750 rounds of the 5.56x45mm NATO cartridge every minute. Utilizing 30-round boxes or 100-round drums, the G36 dispenses its ammunition at 920 meters per second, being effective at distances of up to 600 meters. Heckler and Koch were on top of the world in the second half of the 20th century. Founded in 1948 by 3 former Mauser engineers, Edmund Heckler, Theodor Koch, and Alex Seidel, the company would use salvaged parts from destroyed German factories after World War II to begin repairing machines and eventually making their own products. Naming their new venture the Engineering Office Heckler and Co., but soon changing their name to just Heckler and Koch, they began making precision parts for bicycles and sewing machines, along with machine tools, but soon would begin making weapons. In 1956, the West German government put out a tender to find a new service rifle chambered in 7.62x51mm NATO, and the Spanish SETME rifle, developed by H&K's former colleagues at Mauser, was submitted for evaluation. By 1959, West Germany had selected the SETME rifle, beating Sig Sauer's SG510 and Armalite's AR-10, and after this selection, H&K was tasked with refining the weapon, chambering it in the NATO standard cartridge and producing the rifles, resulting in the G3. As the century progressed, the company would make a number of different weapons based on the G3 design, such as the MP5 submachine gun and HK-21 general purpose machine gun, the former catapulting H&K into the spotlight after its use by the SAS in their operation during the Iranian embassy siege. All of these successes in such a short time gave the relatively young company great publicity, giving H&K a reputation for quality and reliability, putting the company in the same league as the big global manufacturers such as Colt, Beretta, and Sig Sauer. By 1990, H&K were firmly cemented as one of the most proficient firearms manufacturers worldwide. Since the 1970s, H&K had been developing a new rifle to replace their G3 design, creating a number of prototype weapons into the 80s and 90s. The 4.73mm caseless chambered G11 was one of these, and was an experimental rifle that was predicted to be the G3's replacement, causing H&K to halt development on their more conventional 5.56 chambered weapons. Unfortunately, in 1991, with the dissolution of the Soviet Union and reunification of Germany, budget cuts had to be made, and the German armed forces now didn't have the money to procure G11s in sufficient numbers to replace the G3. Thus, the project was cancelled and the caseless ammunition left to gather dust. This had put the Germans in a less than ideal position with their service rifles, and they only had 3 feasible options for how to proceed: continue using the G3, use the AK-74, or hold a competition to select a new rifle. The G3 was an aging design, being in service for a little over 30 years at this time, and despite already having a collection of AK-74s left in armories that were part of former East Germany, using the Kalashnikov posed political problems for the newly reunified Germany, so they settled on holding a competition. The Germans wanted an accurate and reliable rifle design, chambered in the 5.56x45mm NATO cartridge, and H&K set about creating one. H&K went back to the drawing board, designing a new 5.56 chambered weapon from the ground up, settling on what they called the HK-50. Utilizing a short-stroke gas piston system, it was a far cry from the roller-delayed blowback operation seen in almost all other HK designs, but this helped reduce production costs and is a much simpler operation. In 1995, a prototype HK-50 was put to the test against Steyer's Bullpup Org, the HK-50 outperforming Steyer's rifle offering, and in 1996, the HK-50 was adopted as the G36, with full-scale production beginning that year. In 1997, the first of the new rifles arrived to the Bundeswehr Quick Reaction Force, soon finding its way into the hands of militaries and law enforcement units across the globe. Since entering production in 1996, a number of variants have been developed, beginning with the MG36. This variant was developed alongside the G36 as a complementary magazine-fed machine gun design, having a thicker barrel and the optional bipod coming as standard, but it was not well received, and by 1997, orders were cancelled, the weapon never being formally adopted by any nation. For those outside Germany, the G36V was developed in 1997. This variant was the export version of the rifle, being almost identical to the original, save for its lack of a NATO standard bayonet mount, along with having a 1.5x scope, rather than the original's combined red dot and 3.5x scopes. Next, the G36A2, produced at the turn of the millennia, features a detachable red dot sight, new foregrip, and 3 Picatinny rail mounts for various other attachments. The next military variant would be the G36A3, this variant replacing the iconic carrying handle in favor of a shorter one with a Picatinny rail mount, including flip-up iron sights in lieu of an integrated sight, and an adjustable buttstock with its own adjustable cheek piece. The final military variant of the original G36 design is the G36A4, this being a slightly slimmer version, also replacing the side-mounted handguard Picatinny rails with M-LOK. The G36K, or Kurz, began production in 1997, and is a shortened variant of the G36, having a shortened barrel and handguard that make it incapable of fitting a bayonet or firing rifle grenades, also having the same Picatinny rail setup as the G36A2. The G36K, similar to the original, has an export version as well, known as the G36KV, having the same 1.5x scope setup as the G36V. Then, in 2001, the G36C, or Compact, would be released, being an even shorter variant of the G36, with a 4-prong or birdcage flash hider, a Picatinny rail carrying handle similar to the G36A3 with the same flip-up sights, the shortened barrel also meaning that the gas piston and operating rod had to be shortened as well. There are currently 2 civilian variants of the G36, the first, known as the HK243 or HK293 depending on the country, is essentially a G36A3 but with a redesigned bolt to make it incapable of automatic fire, capable of using Stanag magazines, having barrel length options between 9 and 19 inches, along with either a fixed or adjustable stock. The other civilian variant is the SL8, designed primarily for target shooting, replacing the pistol grip and adjustable stock with a thumbhole stock, also having a heavier barrel, a lightened trigger pull, with a similar shortened Picatinny rail carrying handle as introduced with the G36A3. After nearly 30 years since it entered service, the G36 has been adopted by nations on all continents, seeing combat in both the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, along with the Libyan Civil War, but this rifle is not without flaws. In 2012, reports surfaced from units using the G36 in Afghanistan stating that it would overheat in prolonged combat, something that dramatically affects the accuracy of the rifle, making it almost useless for hitting targets past 100 meters, and the rifle gained a reputation for being unsuitable for long firefights. H&K would contest this notion, saying it was an ammunition problem and not a fault in the weapon's design, but the German Ministry of Defense disagreed, and chose to phase out the G36 in 2015, replacing it with H&K's HK416 rifle as the G95A1 in 2022. Nonetheless, the G36 remains a trusted rifle by the over 40 nations that have used it in some capacity since it was first produced. One of the most recognizable rifle designs in history from one of the most proficient firearms manufacturers, H&K's G36 and its variants are among the most iconic rifles ever produced. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment below which weapons you'd like to see me cover next.